Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the waiting is over. I'm going to reveal my top 10 heels in WWE history from 1987 all the way to today. I'm your host, John Fitzmaurice. As many of you may know, I've asked you guys throughout the summer to give me a list of your top 10 baby faces, top 10 heels, and top 10 favorite wrestlers in WWE history. And today's episode, I'm revealing my top 10 heels in WWE history who were really good. Coming in at number 10 is Ravishing Rick Rude. He was the master of the Rude Awakening, managed by Bobby the Brain Heenan. His only title reign in the WWF was the Intercontinental title in 1989 when he defeated the Ultimate Warrior. He had big feuds with the Warrior, Jake the Snake Roberts, Rowdy Roddy Piper, and the Big Boss Man. I think Rude's also another big moment for him was when he challenged the Ultimate Warrior for the World Wrestling Federation title back at SummerSlam 1990 in a steel cage. That Rude always had the crowd hating him. He had the crowd going to hate his guts. Where he'd come out and say, "What I'd like to have right now is for all you fat, out of shape, such and such," everywhere he would go. And he would always take his robe off, bumping and grinding, showing off the ladies his body. And Rude was very hated, and I have to give Rude credit, where credit is due. He gave the Ultimate Warrior his best work back in 89 and 90. And that was the reason why Rude's at number 10. Coming in at number 9 is the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Yes, the $1 Million Man. He was the self-proclaimed $1 Million Champion, a 3-time tag team champion with Earn R. Shyster, back then where they were known as Money Incorporated. He also was managed by his bodyguard Virgil, Sensational Sherry, and the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. He also had feuds with like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man Randy Savage, Jake the Snake Roberts, Dusty Rhodes, and even his own bodyguard Virgil. But DiBiase was so hated that there are times where he would, after he wins his match, he would stuff $100 bill down his opponent's throat. And I remember one of the evil things he did was he called up a kid from an audience and asked him to dribble the basketball 15 times, he would win $100. Now, the kid's dribbling the ball. He did it 14 times. When it came to the 15th, DiBiase kicked it and went, whoops. And, oh my God, I was like, dude, that's a mega douchebaggy move on him. So, but DiBiase was one of the top heels that, he's another one that unfortunately never got to win the WWF title. And it speaks a lot, but he was a great worker. Coming in at number 8 is the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle. A European champion, Intercontinental champion, 2000 King of the Ring, and the WWF champion in his first year in the WWF. He had memorable feuds with guys like Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Chris Benoit, The Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H, and Angle always had the 3 I's: intensity, integrity, and intelligence. And Angle was another one that didn't really need to cheat to win as a heel, but he would always have the one advantage over his opponents with his amateur background, and he was an Olympic gold medalist. And he was managed, he had some help with Paul Heyman in 2002 into 2003, but Angle had some great matches with guys like Lesnar and Eddie Guerrero, and the list goes on and on. Number 7, my 7th heel is CM Punk, 2-time World Heavyweight Champion, and he's a former WWE Champion this year. His feuds with Jeff Hardy, Rey Mysterio, and John Cena was what put him on the map. And can't forget about Randy Orton. But I think the man that put Punk on the map as a top heel was Jeff Hardy, because Punk was so good at what he's been doing the last 2-3 years as a heel. You know, we're getting into people's skin. You know, telling the truth. You know what? Punk's being honest. He is the best in the world at what he does. I mean, yeah, he had the Straight Edge Society and the New Nexus, and those two groups kind of failed. Sorry, no offense, but other than that, Punk he's still a great heel in my opinion. He's a better heel than a babyface. Number 6 is a man who never had a title reign. And I'm talking about Jake the Snake Roberts. But his heel status in 1991 into 1992 were just great stuff. I mean, the Ultimate Warrior, where he set him up to get his face bitten by the Cobra, and even later, him and The Undertaker sabotaged Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth's wedding at SummerSlam 91, and that led to an amazing Jake Roberts and Macho Man feud in 91, where at one point, Jake had his King Cobra snake biting, chewing on the arm of Randy Savage, and that was just some terrific stuff. And a week later, that Tuesday at Texas pay-per-view, Jake Roberts had he slapped Miss Elizabeth in the face, across the face, and back then that's never been done before. Oh gosh. Alright, but Jake Roberts, you know, he was a natural born heel himself, you know, even though it was short lived, but he was still an evil heel, and I like that in Jake. Hold on, thought. Excuse me. Coming in at number 5 is the rated R superstar Edge. He took off his heel status in 2004, where he had feuds with Shawn Michaels, Matt Hardy, Batista, John Cena, Randy Orton, The Undertaker. He had the girls going for him. He had both Lita and Vicky Guerrero on his side. Well, not at the same time, but he was so good at playing that role. And what he did was like, alright, he was the first ever Money in the Bank winner, cashed it out on John Cena, and a year later he won the Money in the Bank, but took it from Mr. Kennedy, and cashed it in on The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight title. But Edge, he was a tag team champion with Christian and Randy Orton, a 4-time WWE champion, and a 5-time World Heavyweight champion as a heel. And Edge's stuff was really good when he was a heel. And I thought he was like the top heel from 2006 all the way to 2008. And it just shows how much Edge was, well, he was on top of his game back then. And, you know, I miss Edge in the ring. I hope he's doing good. Coming in at number 4 is Chris Jericho, the first ever undisputed WWE champion, a 3-time Intercontinental champion as a heel, a 3-time World Heavyweight champion, and he was tag team champions with Edge, Christian, and even the Big Show, you know. And I remember when Jericho was a heel in 2001 to 2003, he had memorable feuds with The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Ric Flair, and then Shawn Michaels. And then heading into his second heel turn in 2008, when he started calling the fans, you know, the hypocrites, the parasites. He had feuds with Shawn Michaels. Everybody remember that in 2008? Rey Mysterio, John Cena, Edge, you know, the list goes on and on. Jericho played his roles right, whether he's a heel or a face. And I think he's a way better face than anything. He's a better heel than anything. And, but Jericho is another great wrestler. No matter what role you put him in, either a wrestler or even on the mic, he always has the crowd in the palm of his hands. Coming in at number 3, and I know this sounds a little ludicrous, but The Miz, a 2-time United States champion, Money in the Bank winner, tag team champions with John Morrison, The Big Show, and even John Cena, even though it was about for 5-10 minutes. And yes, the WWE champion. Now, The Miz had memorable feuds with like John Morrison, Daniel Bryan, Randy Orton, and John Cena, but also what made Miz such a hated heel that he's been hated since day one. But another reason he has his catchphrase that he says he's awesome. That's what put Miz over on the map as a top heel in the WWE. Even this year, The Miz has been a great heel. Think about it. Beating Randy Orton, even though it was helped by CM Punk and the New Nexus. He beat John Cena in the main event at WrestleMania, even though it was kind of helped by The Rock. But still, Miz was WWE champion for over 5 months. That's the longest reign I've seen in a long time. But, Miz is a really good heel. And I don't think Miz should not be faced for a while. Excuse me. Coming in at number 2 is Randy Orton, the youngest World Heavyweight Champion in history, a 5-time WWE Champion, and he was Tag Team Champions with Edge, and he was also the Intercontinental Champion. What made him such a hated heel was feuds with Mick Foley, Undertaker, Rey Mysterio, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Batista, and John Cena. But what made him hated more is when he punted Mr. McMahon in the head, and then had a feud with Shane McMahon, and then he punted him in the head, RKO Stephanie, and then even kissing Stephanie on the lips in front of Triple H when he was handcuffed. I think Orton's biggest feud when he was a heel was probably with Triple H. And, you could tell that Orton was very hated. He was very sadistic. And he's the only man that put Batista on the shelf on 2 occasions. And I know a lot of people say this, but Randy Orton's a better heel than a face. But only time will tell. We'll see what happens. And my number 1 heel of all time in WWE history is the game Triple H. 1997 King of the Ring winner, a 2-time Intercontinental Champion, European Champion, 4-time WWF Champion, 5-time World Heavyweight Champion, Tag Team Champions with Stone Cold Steve Austin. What put him on the map? Feuds with Mankind, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, Batista, Goldberg. But Triple H, he was the dominant heel. He had Chyna as his manager, Stephanie McMahon. He married the boss's daughter. He also had the Nature Boy Ric Flair as his manager, or as his buddy when they were in Evolution. But even, Triple H was, he was very evil when he was either the leader of DX or the leader of Evolution. And he always plays cards right. He's the game, the Cerebro assassin. And he would always, he'd be hated because he either has to cheat to win or have somebody to help him out. And Triple H he played his role as a heel pretty well. And, that's why I think Triple H is my top heel of all time. Tomorrow, I'm going to reveal my top 10 baby faces in WWE history. And I'm going to warn all you guys right now. John Cena is not on my top 10. I'm sorry. And I will reveal why John Cena is not top 10 babyface in my opinion in WWE history. But hope you guys enjoyed this top 10 list of top 10 heels, and I'll reveal my top 10 baby faces of all time tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.